Welcome and thank you very much for checking out my review of Capone, the new film directed and written by Josh Trank and starring Tom Hardy as America's most infamous gangster. The film follows 47-year-old Al Capone after spending 10 years in prison as he starts suffering from dementia and comes to be haunted by his violent past in the last year of his life. And the film has gathered a lot of attention because it's from Josh Trank, it's about Al Capone, it's with Tom Hardy. Ever since the first trailer came out, everybody's been buzzing about this film because it's finally being released, and we've heard so much about this film ever since it was announced in 2016. And to no surprise, this film has a Tom Hardy performance that is worthy to check out. Hardy completely surrenders to a role once more, becoming the character. A very different version of the character than one might want or expect, as this is a broken shell of a man. This is not Al Capone, the cool version that you might expect for a gangster movie like the days of old, like a Scorsese type of gangster movie. No, this is a dude that is not all the way there anymore, and he will never be. This is a dude that is completely lost in his own mind, in his own past, in his own dreams and hallucinations, and Hardy really sells that well. He sells a completely broken, lost soul. And some of the better sequences in this film really work when you're close up on Hardy's face, seeing the confusion and the stress on him. He completely makes you feel what this character is feeling, and you get that at every single moment that he is on camera. And the film is able to capture the relationships and dynamics within the family, the people that are closest to him and are trying to take care of him really quite well. Unfortunately, that's about it when it comes to positives about this film. The film really lacks any sympathy, connection, or relatability to a character on a very basic human level. I'm not saying I want to relate to a guy who did what Capone did and is a gangster and was king at one point. I don't want to relate to the dementia. The error of this film really lies within the fact that it really focuses on him from his perspective, and it takes away from the people around him, the people that are all the way there mentally, and we could connect with somehow at seeing someone lose a family member, at seeing a son, seeing his father deteriorate for an entire year, a son that looked up to his father for most of his life, who thought he was a king, a wife who devoted herself to her husband so much that now she gets treated like shit at points and can't do anything about it. Another big mistake that this film makes is a basic rule of screenwriting, and I get that in concept this sounded really interesting. Seeing Capone at his weakest, at his most vulnerable in concept is great, and I admire the idea going into this film. However, in execution, it lacks any choices for the character that we're following, being that Al Capone. In any screenplay, you need characters to make choices to further the story, to further their own progression in a story. In this film, unfortunately, that doesn't happen because Capone is basically unable to make any proper decision, any basic decision. If anything, in every scene you can see that he's not fully aware of what is going on what he's doing, or what he's saying at all. So the story doesn't progress because of Capone. Capone moves through things and stages in his dementia because the story is just moving forward almost without him. He almost feels of no consequence at points. It's interesting to see the visions he's having, how he's being haunted, thinking about his glory days and being affected by the sins he committed, and how he's being affected by them now, talking to people that are not there anymore with him, even though he thought they were. The moments of realization are interesting because it kind of gives us insight at moments of clarity, but the film has no interesting perspective on it. It has no interesting observations on how this really affected Capone overall. The film even at points feels grotesque, where there are scenes that there's a semblance of tension, but then they get disabled because Capone shits himself. The film uses this tool of Capone shitting himself an uncomfortable amount of times, unfortunately. Capone has an interesting idea and concept to look at America's most notorious and legendary gangster at his most vulnerable, but it executes it with such a lack of humanity and sympathy. There's no connection to our POV character. There's nothing that he does in this film that feels important or meaningful. If anything, the film shows you what you already knew about this man, but in a very grotesque and appalling way at points. I'm giving Capone a D+. I can see the elements in this film that other people will most likely enjoy, and I hope you do, my beautiful geekies. So let me know your thoughts on Capone in the comments below. Let's discuss our thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. Once more, you are the best. Stay tuned for many more reviews coming soon. And of course, this week we got a new episode of Geeks of the Round Table with me and Zach Pope. I hope to see you there. So until the next video, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video because it really helps me and the channel out. But most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.